Hello, friends. This is Pastor Ardo Pawlowski, and this is another episode of Lions Do Not Bow. Today, we have a special guest. I'm doing this show by myself today. We will be back with Nathaniel on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about a topic of murder and the culture of death. I think it's a fascinating topic, and the progression of killing, murdering that we have seen in the West, it's absolutely shocking. So we'll talk about how it started and where it's going and how we are to stop that craziness. But today we have decided to have a special guest, and he's coming with absolutely incredible story of prosecution and persecution that just happened to him in India. Out of all the countries, India, a place where should embrace Christianity, should embrace people that are willing to come and bless that wretched nation, and yet we are observing opposites. So we'll have Pastor Shawn Hamm with us today, and if for those that do not know, Pastor Shawn has been an alderman, a counselor for 8 years, and now he's pastoring a church in Red Deer. Red Deer is about hour and a half from Calgary. So I'm going to let Pastor Shawn come. Pastor, welcome to Lions Do Not Bow.
Well, thank you for having me on today. I'm excited to hear the story, and I'm praying that so many people will be impacted by this story nationwide and worldwide of the persecution that I went through in India.
Yeah, and before we go, before I forget, please share this story left and right. Why? It's important to put the pressure on those corrupted politicians because ultimately they have the power. They can stop this persecution if they would choose so. So we need to apply pressure against the politicians, and then they will be applying pressure against other politicians because that's the game. So I want to, before we will have Pastor Shawn telling his story, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on. The persecution of Christians, it's not just India, it's not just Canada, it's a global problem that we're facing right now. So today, before the show, I just Googled it up what the statistics are saying, and they are very concerning. 1 in 7 Christians are persecuted worldwide. 1 in 7. 1 in 5 Christians are persecuted in Africa. 2 in 5 Christians are persecuted in Asia. So here are the statistics. Over 340 million Christians worldwide experience high to extreme high. So that's not someone put a mean, a comment on my Facebook page. That's not what we're talking about. Extreme high to extreme levels of discrimination and persecution simply because of their faith in Jesus. We Here is another statistics. We are the largest religion with 2.3 billion followers and growing, and yet at the same time we face the biggest amount of persecution and prosecution around the world, which is it should be very concerning to everyone. And of course, that what comes to mind is Jesus's promise, which I think Westerners have forgotten, that they hated me, they will hate you. They persecuted me, they will persecute you as well. That's a promise. It's going to happen. Why? Because enemy is not afraid of lies. If you're following a lie, if you're worshiping a cow, he's going to leave you alone. But if you're worshiping the creator of the beef, the cows, well, then you're going to be hunted down. We have many countries. Again, more than 388 million Christians suffer high levels of persecution and discrimination for their faith. You've got North Korea, Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Eritrea, Syria, Nigeria, Pakistan, Libya, Iran. Of course, we have to add Canada. Canada has become very hostile to Christianity. There is an ongoing attempt to persecute and to prosecute Christians, people of faith, and we see this everywhere in the courts. Of course, Derek Reimer and myself and others were targeted specifically because of our faith. So to the list we can now add India. I've heard about India. I've heard that there is uh, a rise of persecution against Christians, but I thought it's directed at their own population. I didn't know that they're going to be targeting white people, Canadians, Americans as well. But the story that we're about to hear is is absolutely shocking. So, Hindu extremists, this is what I pull out today, threaten genocide against Christians, and for this I need glasses. It's a small print. uh, the Hindu leaders have called for the killing of Christians. They really want to wipe out Christians from India. They've declared a war to rape and to kill all Christian men, women, and children. That's what they want to do. They want to rape, kill, destroy Christians, men, women, and children, just because they believe differently than they believe. And there is, of course, Nigeria as well, uh, which is an ongoing problem. So, Pastor Sean, fire at will, tell us what's happening. Tell us why you've decided to go to India. I know that you have been there number of times before, and you have a heart for the poor. You're feeding the homeless every single week for years now, and you have a heart for the poorer nations as well. So why did you go over there, and tell us what happened to you?
Well, thank you very much, Pastor Archer, for having me on again. And it is a crazy story of persecution. I love the Indian people. If anybody's ever been to India, they're the kindest people. They're loving. They welcome you in. They treat you with so much respect. And so I've been to India a couple times. I went in 2014 and then I went in 2016. And so it's been about 10 years since I've been in India, and it was time that I go back. Our church supports orphans that are in India. There's orphan boys and girls that don't have a mother and father, and our church supports 19 orphan boys and girls in India. And we also support a pastor that's doing amazing work in the nation of India. He is caring for and leading almost 200 pastors in the nation of India. And so it's amazing work what God is doing in his life. And I wanted to see the work for myself because our church is supporting him and our church is supporting the orphans. And so I had planned a trip to go to India, and many people had cautioned me before I planned the trip, saying, you know how dangerous India is? They're persecuting Christians. I've seen the persecution on videos coming from India from my friend that has sent them to me. Just about a week before I left to go to India, some Hindus kidnapped a Christian pastor and beat him within an inch of his life. And then they made him eat cow dung as well too, and they videotaped it all. It's crazy what's happening in the nation of India. And so I knew what I was doing, but I'm fulfilling the Great Commission that Jesus has called me to do, which is to go into the world to preach the gospel to all nations. And
So,
that's what God has called me to do.
so just just for the people that maybe missed this, you went over there to support their orphans, their people. You raise the money with the support of the church and other, individuals that have a heart for the poor. You put the resources together, and you went over there to feed and to clothe and to support Indian orphans, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to make life better for Indians
Like,
and Indian orphans.
I mean, I want the listeners to understand the concept. You are not there. I mean, if you would go over there to hang around with prostitutes and having a great time, you will have no problem from the Indian government. If you were there as a tourist, eating and drinking and just having fun, that's all welcomed. That's all welcomed. They welcome those types of people. But you wanted to feed their orphans and to tell them that their tomorrow is going to be better than their today. That's why you went over there. And tell us what happened.
Yeah, and God is doing great things in India, and I want the people to know that. I was supposed to go to Chennai, India, and then also to Assad, and then close to Assad, I was going to spend some time in Nagaland. And Nagaland has had a revival over the last year or two where they held a church service and 200,000 people came. Many got saved, many got healed, many got set free. And so there's a powerful move of God that is happening in India. And I was so excited just to be part of that. It's almost like a wave. When you look at a wave in an ocean, it has ripple effects. It's a wave that just creates ripples. And so I was just excited to be a part of it and to bless the people there, bless the orphans. I wanted to bring back a great report for our church and our church family and people that currently sponsor our orphans. And also the pastors. I want to encourage the pastors. Pastoring, as you know, Pastor Archer, is one of the most dangerous jobs in Canada and especially Alberta. And the people watching need to know how dangerous it is in these other nations as well. And so some of these pastors that I was going to visit are some of the poorest people that you'd ever meet. They receive tithes and offerings a week of maybe $3 Canadian, which is really nothing. And so I was going to bless them with a message, an encouraging message. I was going to bless them with some resources and things like that to help them along. And that's the reason why I wanted to go to India. And India is so close to my heart. Like I said, I love the Indian people, love the food, love the country. I've been there 2 times before and traveled all over the country, and the people have been nothing but kind to me. The last 2 times I went across immigration with no problems whatsoever. But this time was different. For those of you that don't know how far India is, I believe it's like at least halfway around the world. It took me 33 hours to get to India by plane. I flew from here to Vancouver, from Vancouver to Hong Kong, which is part of China, and then from China to India. And with time change, it was about 33 hours. And so when I landed in India, I was just excited for what God was going to do. As I was walking down the stairs and getting to the escalator to go to immigration, I was walking by these big sliding doors that were guarded by armed guards, and I could smell the warm weather of India. And if you're from Alberta, where I'm from, it is cold here. It was plus 30 in India at the airport. And so I could smell the weather. I could smell the smell of India. And it just smelled so amazing. I was so excited to go preach the gospel. And as I was walking up to the immigration counter, which was just on the other side of these doors or across from these doors, I knew I'd be facing a level of persecution. My friend in India had told me that they are watching for white men that are traveling alone, white Christian men. So you need to understand this. Pastor Archer talked about at the beginning about the persecution all over the world. This is a plan that I would be facing, but I had no idea for what was about to come. And so as I walked up to the counter, I met with a man, and his countenance was, he somewhat smiled at me. They're not the most friendly people, no matter where you go through immigration, but he smiled at me, took my information. But as soon as he put my passport in, and as soon as he put my India visa into the system, his countenance changed. His face completely changed. And he went from asking questions about why I was in India to accusations. And there's a big difference between asking questions and accusations. And he was accusing me of being a Christian, guilty as charged. He was accusing me as being a pastor, guilty as charged. and I had all the right paperwork. I had my Indian visa. I had an interline permit for Nagaland, and some people might not know what that is. An inline permit is allows you to go to another region of India, and so I had all the right paperwork. My passport was current. Everything was good. All the other documents, the Indian visa and the inline permit, was all processed by the Indian government and approved. So I must say it was approved by the Indian government before I went to India. So as I'm at the counter, this man, this immigration official, is continuing to accuse me of my reason for being in India. And after about a couple minutes, he said to me, "We need to go to the immigration office. You need to follow me." And so I followed him over to the immigration office. Immediately, I was detained. I was detained at the immigration office. They took my phone, they took my passport, and they took it into another room. They went to another room, and it felt like they were gone for an hour. I don't know how long it actually was. And going through my phone, going through my pictures, and some that are watching might wonder, how can they go through your phone if they don't know your password? Well, I have an iPhone, and you can click on the pictures, and you can flip up the pictures, and you can see what's on the phone. And so they were going through all the pictures, and I don't hide who I am. I'm a pastor. I love Jesus. Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and I live to serve him. And so they were going through all the pictures and finding out, seeing the baptisms that we were doing in the summer. They saw street church where we feed the poor and things like that. And so they came back and interrogated me. There were 7 of them at one time that were just, they were abusive. They were bullying me. They used tactics on me to try to intimidate me. And it was all because of my Christian faith. They were looking through my phone, asking me why I was in their country. What was I doing in the country? And it's a huge issue to me that as a Christian, they are concerned about me traveling to India, to travel to their nation, to bless their people, to bless the orphans, to bless the pastors, to help make India a better place. And that's, I guess, if I'm guilty as charged, Pastor Archer, I'm guilty as charged. I'm trying to make the country a better place, just like we're trying to do here in Canada. And
Yeah.
so they continue to bully me. They continue to go ahead.
Before you go, um, on a side note, we have to understand we're talking about the country of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a freedom fighter, was a person that was fighting for equality. He was fighting for peace, a non-violent way. Martin Luther King Jr. after took a lots of Mahatma Gandhi's tactics. I did the same thing. When we were fighting for our rights, I studied the life of Mahatma Gandhi and I studied the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And I did apply a lots of things that they were teaching, how you are to fight with overwhelming force, how you are to expose the evil, the unequal application of the law, the injustice in the court system, injustice if it comes to policing, and I did it. But out of all the countries, I mean, right now, a few years later, after the death of Mahatma Gandhi, the same government right now, the same country, I should say, the children, put it this way, the children of those that were fighting, or grandchildren of those that were fighting for the independence of India, for the equality, for freedoms, freedom for all, right? The same people, the same family members, the next generation is willfully and openly they have chosen to persecute other human beings just because they believe differently than they believe. And also, you talked about getting a permission to travel to other part of India. I want people to understand when you're living in a totalitarian regime, police state, they will not allow you to travel freely from one place to another of the same country. You got to remember, I I've done my best to educate the Westerners about communism and socialism, and fascism, every other totalitarian regime is all the same. They may have different faces, different names, but their modus operandi is always identical. They will not allow you to live a free life because that's not what they want. They want the total control. So when I was growing up, you couldn't just travel from one place of Poland to another, especially under, in the 80s, under the Solidarity, when Solidarity people were fighting for their God and state given rights under Constitution, which was completely ignored by communists and socialists, because tyrants don't care about your piece of paper. You have to care about your piece of paper. You were not allowed to, Sean, travel from one place to another. You had to have a special permit. And that, of course, leads me to what we experience in Canada. One nation. I mean, after all, we're all Canadians, right? With a number of territories, a number of provinces, one nation. And yet, you couldn't go from one portion of Canada to another without their special permits. And the same thing is happening in India. It's the government that decides who can travel, who cannot travel, with what, with whom, and where, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. So that should be very concerning to everyone because, again, nothing is new under the sun. Known are to us the devices of the enemy. In other words, we know his tactics. He doesn't have any tactics outside of the tactics that he has been using for thousands of years. Because why? Because people are not learning from history. So you received the documents, you went through all the roadblocks, you bought, you paid the hefty price to go over there to help their orphans that they are not taking care of. It's very important for the people to understand Satan doesn't care about you. Satan doesn't care about your children. Satan doesn't care about your husbands and your wives. You have to understand that to them, you're nothing. You're not a commodity at the best, or social insurance number, like we are witnessing in Canada and United States. You're just a social insurance number, like the number in Auschwitz-Birkenau. To them, you're just a statistics that must pay taxes, and they don't care if you live and die in the end. You're just a commodity to them, easily disposable commodity. Actually, you're not as precious as, according to them, as silver and gold or oil. So you got all the paperwork, you're there, officer is screening you, you're being flagged. Now they want to make sure you suffer for for that mistake of trying to save their children. That's pretty much what is happening, and all of that is happening because you simply believe differently they, they than them. You are serving the real deal, they are serving the false idols. It's a simple clashing of the spirits, the good versus evil, light versus darkness. And people, you have to understand this, that we are living in the middle of the greatest separation between the sheep and the goats, and the sheep and the wolves. This is the cosmos getting bigger and bigger, and not just within our families, not just within our communities, our cities, in our country. It's a global phenomenon. We are seeing that great divide, that great separation. God is separating the good from the evil. That's why I believe the Indian government, that in big part is worshiping Satan in different forms, is so, or has become so hostile to the real deal. Continue.
Yeah, I want to capitalize on what you said, that their own government is against their own people. And in Canada, it's the same thing. And yet people are still blinded to think that the government actually cares about us. They don't care about us at all. We're a means to an end for them. And it's the same way in India. And they will do whatever they can to persecute those that speak up against them. And that's really what they persecuted me for. And so I was detained for 7 hours, 7 hours at the airport in India. No food, no water, no way to communicate with anybody else. They had my phone for most of that time. They had my passport. And so I have an Apple Watch, and I called my wife from my Apple Watch when they weren't looking, and I gave her a voice text, and I said, "They have my phone, they have my passport. Don't message me back, otherwise they will see that you're messaging me. But you need to know that they might throw me in jail. I may get thrown in jail, and I don't know when the next time I'm going to talk to you. My crime, a Christian going to a country to help the orphans and the pastors." And
Yeah.
so this,
You know,
yeah,
it's like for the past 20 years, 21 to be exact, I have been targeted by the Canadian government, not for stealing, cheating, lying, robbing, raping, smuggling drugs, but simply for taking care of the poor, for giving them messages of hope, for bringing to the government's attention the problem of homelessness and the drug addiction. For that, wicked government always targets not the criminals, but those that are exposing the real criminals. So you have to understand that we are witnessing the same thing. It's a global thing, it's a clashing of the spirits again. And when the light shows up, darkness is terrified. Darkness is afraid of the light. Darkness is afraid. Liars are always afraid of those that speak, preach the truth. And I'm wondering, I kind of can imagine how your wife reacted. I know you couldn't know her reaction at that moment, but later when you came back, what did she say when she received that voice? I mean, I would be terrified if my wife sent something like this to me. It's like, oh my God, India is not, I mean, is not a civilized country. And anything can happen to a human being. I mean, you can disappear and never to be found ever again. And especially when you're dealing with a level of corruption that India has, and they have the guns and they have the manpower to make you disappear, and you're sending this message to your wife. What was her reaction? What did she say when you came back? That when when she received that, what was in her mind?
well, we're believers in Jesus. We have no fear, but we're still human. And so there was a part of it where she was, of course, she was concerned for my safety. She didn't know if I'd be thrown in jail. She didn't know if she'd ever see me again. And that's just the reality in India. You just disappear. If they throw you in jail, you might not never be seen again. They just execute you, and that's it. And so we're writing back and forth. She let people know in our prayer circle. She had people praying for us and praying for me, and people that were standing with us, which I'm so thankful for during that time. But I was talking about in church yesterday, Pastor Archer, and we sing these worship songs that Jesus, you're King of all. Jesus, we love you. Jesus, you go before us. We're not afraid. You're for us. What can we be afraid of? We sing these songs so boldly, but when it comes to the fact that we're actually facing potential arrest or even death, do we still believe that God is still the same God that can still rescue us? And you know what that's like, being persecuted so many times by government, by the Canadian government. And that was something that, as I'm sitting there, I'm saying, God, I trust you no matter what happens. If you haul me off to if they haul me off to jail, if they even take my life, Lord, take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to thee, as the hymn says. And so I just trusted God with my life. Sarah was trusting God with my life. But you have to understand that in India, when I went through immigration, it was around 12:45 a.m. India time, which is about 12 o'clock in the afternoon, uh, Alberta time. And so Sarah's doing work for the church during that time, and she's getting these messages coming in from me saying, I don't have my phone, I don't have anything. This is what's happened to me. I'm being persecuted. All the while, there's three other people that are sitting beside me being persecuted as well. Three other Indians are sitting beside me. And I want to talk about the point that you mentioned where they're letting criminals go, but they're prosecuting Christians. So the guy that was sitting right beside me was a native Indian. And as he was talking to the immigration officers, they were talking about all these things that he had done, all these things that he was arrested for in the country. And they ended up letting him go and gave him immigration status. a criminal, somebody
Yeah.
that's been arrested multiple times. And as a pastor, I'm sitting in this room getting interrogated, no food, no water. And people are saying, well, where was the Canadian government in this?
Yeah, but
And
just before you continue, um, this is, there is this English saying, the proof is in the pudding. When you have a wicked, evil government that works for Satan, they protect other crooks. So they will, they denied my bail. They denied the truckers' bails, freedom, patriotic, law abiding, peaceful protesters. They've denied bail. But if you rape someone, if you're a known trafficker, if you're a gangster, if you're a bloody murderer, you will go on bail in a heartbeat. I mean, within hours, those criminals, real hardcore criminals, are released on bail. But if you're a Christian, if you, God forbid, if you're caught preaching the gospel or feeding the poor, you're going to be denied bail because according to them, you are very, very dangerous. During my bail hearing, the crown prosecutor, that crooked crown prosecutor, Stephen Johnston said that I am so extremely dangerous that if I'm released, I mean, the country is going to collapse. He accused me of causing Canadian government economy over $400 million worth of damages for my 90-minute sermon to the peaceful assembly of truckers and farmers. I mean, on private grounds. This is absolutely ridiculous. But why am I talking about this? Because people need to understand that when you got evil government working for Satan, they will protect themselves. They're evil and they are protecting other evil people because the spirit is the same. You have to understand, thieves, there is this honor among the thieves, if you will, spiritually as well. So they protect themselves, they support each other. That's why you've got all those crooked people, flocking together as one big happy family in Davos. You can see that clearly. Pedophiles, rapists, murderers, traitors that should be charged with treason, they all are coming to one place because they feel like at home. And people need to understand that. That's how you know the Bible is true. That's how you know everything Jesus was saying is so amazing and is so truthful. That's why you should pay attention. Your life depends on it because we can see it in during our lives. So we can see it being played in front of our very own eyes. So you have been detained. How long they were keeping you without giving you any water and without giving you anything to eat?
it was 7 hours.
So
Over
7 hours, you're sitting over there, you're being detained. So being detained means you're under arrest. You're not free to go. They detained you. Maybe sometimes they will not put handcuffs on you. I have been detained many times. I have been arrested many times, but I was also detained many times. And when you're detained, you cannot go, you cannot move. Most of the times when I was detained, they would not put handcuffs on me, but I was under arrest. That's another word for you're not free to go. Pending investigation, I was told, or whatever. Whatever the officer would feel like to release me from being detained under his authority, which ultimately in the end of the day it's our authority. We are giving those people the badge, the pistol, the uniform to uphold the law. But of course, in a system that is working for Satan, they are not working for the people, they are working against the people. So 7 hours, here is a pastor, a Christian, has done no crime, is not free to go, and is deprived of necessities of life. No water, no food. Continue.
So this went on for 7 hours. No water, no food. I had just flown to India, which was a 33-hour flight with a time change. And so I'm close to 40 hours without food and water. And as you know, that's the punishment. The process is the punishment, right?
Yeah.
And so they want to weaken you down, they want to tire you, they want you just to give in and give up. And I'm too much of a fighter for that. And even though I was by myself, at some point there was seven officials surrounding me, and each one of them was firing at me, mocking me, laughing at me, making fun of my faith. Like it was a show. Is really what it was. And there were other people watching as they were doing this. All of a sudden, I became the Christian that was being paraded in front of everybody. And I had nothing. I didn't have my phone, didn't have my passport, was wondering what was going to happen. This was hours and hours and hours that this was going on. And so they came back at one point and asked me for more information. And I said to them, I'm sick and tired of you guys doing this. And I pointed my finger at them and I stood in the authority that Christ has given me. And I said, enough is enough. And I grabbed my phone literally out of the officer's hand. And I said, you're not doing this anymore. You're not holding my phone anymore. I've had enough of this. I need you to release me. I need you to let me go because this is going on way too long. And he didn't know what to say other than he looked at me and threatened me and said, if you don't comply, right? That's what they've been saying for the last 5 years. If you don't comply, this is what's going to happen to you. And so that's what happened. He said, if you take your phone back, it's going to get worse for you. We're going to make things even worse for you. And at the time I thought, how could it get worse? I've been detained for 7 hours. They're threatening me, all these different things. So at that time I had my phone. I kept my phone for the rest of the interrogation. And I had people still around me. They put some officials that were watching me all the time. There was one woman that was sitting beside me. And in this part of India, it's important that people know these people speak English. And so she was listening to everything I was saying. I called Sarah on the phone at that point because I had my phone back. I called my friend who was waiting outside the airport. And at that time, he had been waiting at least 10 hours because he came a few hours early. 10 hours he was waiting for me. While he was waiting for me, this is really important to know. He said, I saw white person after white person walking out of the airport, but Shawn was still being detained. He said, the reason why they're detaining you is because you're a white Christian man. It wasn't because you're white, but because you're a Christian and because you're white. We're by far the most persecuted people in the West. We're the most
Yeah.
dangerous people according to the left woke mob, right?
Yeah.
And
But again, people need to understand if you went there for prostitution, like, India, you can actually buy human beings with the approval of the government. You can buy girls and boys, and all kinds of crazy things are happening in that country. So if you were there for other, you know, evil, wicked reason, you'll have absolutely no problem to get in. Those types of people are welcome. They're more than welcome. They are, when you're bribing and giving money left and right, you're, for evil things, you're more than welcome. But if you're there to save lives, then this is what happens.
yeah, so as this was all going on, I was watching because the immigration counter was right close to there, and I could hear people's conversations. And there was a guy, a white Caucasian guy, that was standing at the front speaking very clear English. And the immigration officer asked where he came from, and he said, "Oh, I can't remember my flight. I can't remember which flight I came on." And the immigration officer said, "Well, the TV's over there of all the flights that have come in. Look at one of those flights." So it's almost like he just picked a flight where he came from. He didn't have all his ducks in a row. He wasn't organized, and yet they put him through. And so I'm watching all this go on while I'm sitting here being persecuted by the Indian officials. And so finally I said to them, I said, "What are you holding me for? You can't hold me for anything. I haven't done anything wrong. Let me go." I kept walking into the office demanding that they let me go. And finally, at one point, they came to me and said, "You filled out your application wrong. Your e-visa was filled out wrong." He said, "There's a spot for your faith, and you put that you were Buddhist, not Christian." Like, this is crazy. Why would I put Buddhist on a faith application? That's like me putting I'm a homosexual on an application. Like, it's the most craziest thing.
Yeah,
And
because for the people watching, you got to remember they have no honor. Those people are pathological liars. Their whole life is built. It's like a house of lies, lie on top of another lie. So that's the only thing they know. They don't know truth, so they bring lies left and right. That's why when they testify, in front of us, against us in the courts, when you've got the crown prosecutors, when you got crooked judges, and of course the propaganda media, that's what they do day in and day out. They just make stuff up, they lie, they manufacture things, because that's what they do. You got to remember, the Bible says very clearly that Satan is what? He's the father of lies. And that just shows you who those people are following. They have no problem manufacturing stuff. Remember, Shawn, I shared that many times. There was this guy, Andrew Bissett. Andrew Bissett was a supervisor, bylaw services in the city of Calgary, here in Alberta. He manufactured document against me. He brought that manufactured lying document in front of the judge, swearing that that's what he observed, and then we played the video. And then my lawyer, in front of the judge, says this to this Andrew Bissett. Andrew Bissett, remember that crooked man's name, Andrew Bissett, high-ranking, a bureaucrat within the city of Calgary. He says, "Officer, are you not concerned that the only document for the judge to see is false?" And he looked at him without blinking of an eye. He says, "I'm not concerned." You know what happened to that officer? You would think he would be charged with lying to the judge and stuff like. No, no, no. He was promoted right after this trial. He was promoted to a higher position within the city of Calgary. That's what we're dealing with. They are liars. They're crooks, and that's why I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they probably erased your answer in a computer or in a paper document, whatever they have over there, and they replaced Christian for Buddhist. I mean, that's what those people do. Continue.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So I said to them, "Show me where that document is," and they said, "We don't have to show you." Right? Of
Yeah,
course
of
not.
course not. Because how would they, Shawn? Why
Right.
why would they show you a document that they know that they purged or is still Christian, but they're just telling you a different story?
Right. So I said to them, I said, "You're all a bunch of liars. Every single one of you. You're all a bunch of liars. You cannot prove why you're kicking me out of the country. And I demand that you show me the reason." And they said, "No, we're not going to do it." They continued to harass me for some time yet after that. And Sarah was phoning the government while I was there, finding out what to do. And people might say, "Well, what did the Canadian government help you at all?" Well, she called the two embassy numbers in that place in India, and the phones weren't even connected. I'm serious. The phone numbers weren't even connected. She called the consular services, and the consular services said that if they're starving him, if they're not feeding him, we'll get involved. But the other part of it, we can't get involved in the process of what the Indian government is doing. And so if you think your Canadian government is for you, go through a situation that I went through in India. They are nowhere to be found, and they're not easy to find. They would rather you be persecuted in these places. And so I continued to go through this. I said to the guys, I looked at every single one of them that was persecuting me, and I said, "I'm going to be loud when I get home. I'm going to be so loud and share this story." And for those that are watching, this is so important that you share this
Yeah.
all over Canada, all over America, all over the world, because my pastor friend in India said to me, he said, "I want you guys to be loud when you get back to Canada because people need to know what's happening to us in India. Because if it's happening in India, it's coming to Canada next." And that's where we're headed. And so my goal is to try to get this out to as many people as possible. This video, the post I put on Facebook, I want as many people to hear about this. I even took pictures of these guys. So after I got my phone back, I took pictures of those officials that were bullying me and harassing me, and I put it all on Facebook today. So it's for the world to see. They're going to be infamous for Christian persecution all over the world. And the Bible says that vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And so I know that the Lord is in my corner. If God is for me, who can be against me? And if you come against me as a child of God, you're coming against my Father. And my Father is bigger than anybody else's father that's not a believer in Jesus. So they got a lot to contend with. So after that, they said that they were going to they could have either put me in jail and let me go through the legal process, in India, or they had to send me out of the country as soon as possible. And so they decided to send me out of the country as soon as possible. They got me a flight the next morning, about 18 hours later, to get out of India. But they had a problem now because I wasn't allowed to go into India. I didn't pass immigration, and so I had a flight that they had booked to send me home, but they couldn't send me into the main part of the airport because I wasn't allowed in that part of India because I was in immigration. And so they were trying to figure out what to do with me. So they took me through the back part of the airport, and it was really interesting because there was a metal detector, and it looked like a smaller room that was used maybe for dignitaries or people that were important that were coming through India, that they could kind of sneak them through the back. And so they brought me in there. Again, I was under guard the whole time. People from the airport authority, the airport officials were standing with me the whole time. I wasn't allowed to walk by myself. And so we got to this next checkpoint, and there was a man dressed in full army gear. So he looked like he was military. I don't know if he was military or not, but he was dressed in full camouflage army gear. And he interrogated me, asked me some questions, and then they agreed to put me through the metal detector, but not before they made me take most of my clothes off, which was a weird turn of events because, as you know, when you go through airport security, they make you sometimes take your shoes off, your belt, things like that, but you're allowed to keep your shirt and shorts on. They made me take off most of my clothes. And then once I got through the other side, then he interrogated me for another hour on top of the 7 hours that I was already interrogated in immigration. And I'm being interrogated in this cold room without my clothes on and without anything again. Finally, they agreed to send me on, and there was a glass elevator there. And so I got dressed, and he said, "You just got to go up the glass elevator. That'll take you to international departures." And so I took the elevator up. They seized my passport again. And so I want everybody to hear that. They seized my passport again. And I had an 18-hour layover in the airport before they were sending me back, deporting me or refusing entry to me, sending me all the way back to Canada. And you can imagine the things that were going through my head at that point. 33 hours to India, 7 hours of interrogation at immigration, another hour of interrogation behind the scenes with this guy that looked like he was military. And now all of a sudden I have an 18-hour wait in the airport. And it was a bit unnerving, if I'm being honest with you, because they could have arrested me at any point. I expected to see officers come around the corner. It gave them 18 hours to drum up more stuff on me if they wanted to. And so I was quite aware of my surroundings and what was going on. But I didn't have my passport. Time went really quickly, actually. I wrote a sermon while I was there, a powerful sermon, which I'm going to preach this weekend. And as I got about 45 minutes before boarding, I still didn't have my passport. And I had to board the airplane within 45 minutes. And I was wondering what was going to happen. No passport, no identification, no boarding passes. They had seized all of that from me once I got into international departures. And so an airport official came up to me a few minutes later and said, "You're going to be flying on this flight." And she had a white envelope, which I posted on Facebook today. And in the white envelope was supposedly, and I say supposedly because I didn't know, was my passport and was the reason why they kicked me out of India, the reason why they were deporting me out of India and refusing me entry. That was all in this white envelope, but the white envelope was sealed. I couldn't look in it, couldn't touch my passport, couldn't touch my boarding passes, nothing. And so they walked me up to the front gate like a criminal. And they told me, they said, "You're not going to be allowed to board the plane with the rest of the passengers. You're going to have to board the plane before anybody else. We are going to walk you onto the plane before anybody else gets on the plane. And we're going to walk you to your seat. You're going to sit in your seat. When the plane lands, you need to stay on the plane until everybody has gotten off the plane. Then another airport official will meet you and they will walk you off the plane." And this happened when I landed in Hong Kong. So as soon as I landed in Hong Kong, an officer met me, an airport official. They took me back off, handed me over to another airport official in Hong Kong, and all the thoughts are going through my head, thinking, "Man, I'm in communist China or a part of communist China. Could they just throw me in jail? Could they do whatever they want to me again because I don't have my passport?" And so this young man walked me to immigration. This young airport official. I had to go through immigration. Still didn't have my passport. Still didn't have my boarding pass or any of the details why I was kicked out of the country. And I had to go through immigration in Hong Kong. And as I'm going through immigration in Hong Kong, uh, what ended up happening is it went really quick. I was really surprised how fast things ended up going. I think I was in immigration for about an hour in communist China, and they gave me all the paperwork that I needed. That that really surprised me that I was let through that quickly. But I still had people that were guarding me this whole time. I couldn't do anything. As I was walking back with this official after I went through immigration, I said to him, "I don't know what it's like to be a criminal. I've never been charged with anything. I've never done anything wrong that way in my life where I've been charged criminally. I don't have a criminal record, but yet I'm being treated like a criminal."
Yeah.
And he
Let
said
me,
to me,
yeah,
"Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead." He said, "I've never seen this happen." He said, "I had worked for the Hong Kong Airport Authority for many years, and I've never seen somebody treated like you've been treated. Thousands and thousands and thousands of passengers that have gone through, and he's never seen somebody treated as poorly as I was."
Well, because you're special. The Bible is very clear. We are peculiar. You're a son of the king, and the enemy is afraid. I just gave a sermon, a part one of, why Satan is afraid of us. I mean, he fears what he cannot control, and he is afraid of those that are being used by God. And you obviously are being used by God, and he is terrified of you because you're a son of the living God and he cannot control you. But I want to go back a little bit. Why do you think they took your clothes away? I kind of know the answer, but I wanted to hear it from you. Why do you think they took you through this process of you got to strip yourself, and then instead of giving you back your clothes, I mean, you went already what they wanted, right? They wanted to see if you're not smuggling something, so they already have the answer. But why you were being interrogated for an hour without being able to dress yourself back again?
Yeah, the process is the punishment, as I said earlier, but it's to humiliate me as well too. And they did the same thing to Jesus, right? Remember what they did to Jesus? They spit at him, they mocked him,
Yeah.
they made fun of. They put the crown of thorns on his head. Look at all the things they did to our Savior, and we expect to be treated any differently. But it's a real mocking spirit, is what they do. They want to show some level of authority over us because they know that we're not going to bow to them, right, Pastor Archer? They know we're not going to bow. They know we're not afraid of them.
Well, that's the thing, if you read my book Lions Do Not Bow, you would kind of go to the chapter when they put me in metal cages, and you would just shake your head. It's like, why? What was the purpose? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, you know if you're looking for a reason. But my wife always says to me, if you're looking for a reason, you will not be able to find it with Satan. There's no, there, he does things out of hatred. That's his motive. He just hates you, and he wants to destroy you. And if he cannot destroy you, he wants to take you through the ringer of the processes, the punishment. I have been stripped naked many times, and every single time, Sean, there was absolutely no reason for it. No reason for it. They have machines in the Riemann Center, like in the airport, and they screen your whole body. There is nothing you can. They see everything what you have in your stomach. I mean, there is no reason for stripping inmates naked, but they do it to humiliate you, to show you we own you. It's like those officers when I was in prison. They said to me, "We can do whatever we want. You have no rights here." So they're abusers. They're demons. They are children of Satan, and that's why they did it. and they did it the same thing to you. So now you're in Hong Kong. The officer over there is puzzled. He has never seen something like this before. Welcome to the club, Sean. You know how many times, hundreds of times, different bureaucrats would tell me, I've never seen this before. I don't know what's happening. This is weird. This is crazy. Um, that's what happens to those that enemy fears. And again, he hates and he fears what God loves, and he loves you, he loves us. So now you are in Hong Kong. What happened next?
Yeah, so he took me through immigration, and afterwards he walked me back again to where my gate was. But this whole time I had somebody with me that had to watch me. I don't know what they were afraid of me doing. I was going to run out of security with no identification and be in a city of 7.2 million
No,
people.
no, it's just the process. It's just to show you we own you at this
Yeah.
moment. You're nothing, and what we say and what we want will go on. That's pretty much what it is.
Well, and it's really hard because you would understand this. You don't trust them, right? So just because they tell me my passport is in that envelope, I never saw my passport the whole time. So I don't know whether my passport is in that envelope. I don't know what's in that envelope. I don't even know if I'm ever going to get it back. I don't know if I'm going to get arrested in Canada when I get back. Because you know what that's like, getting back to Canada and all of a sudden you have police that are waiting for you. I didn't know what was going to happen to me when I got back to Vancouver. And so they watched me. I felt like they were watching me the whole time. They had people with me the whole time, airport officials. When it was time to board again to go to Vancouver, again about 45 minutes before boarding, I had an official come find me. Then what they did was they told me that we're going to walk you onto the airplane again. We're going to walk you right to your seat. We're going to escort you right to your seat. You're going to go onto the airplane before anybody else. You're going to sit down. You're going to sit through the whole flight. Once the flight lands, you're going to wait until everybody else gets off. Once everybody gets off, we will send another airport official and they will walk you to the gate. And so this happened again. And this is a long flight. If anybody's ever flown to Hong Kong, it's about 14 hours one direction. And so it's a long flight. I was tired. I was exhausted. Didn't know what was going to happen once I had landed. And so once we landed in Vancouver, I said, am I going to get my passport back? And so they said, we're going to take you to the next official. And so when I landed in Vancouver, they took me to another official, and this official had my white envelope with my passport and with my boarding pass, and also all the identification that was in that envelope. And after all this time, I finally got my passport back on Canadian soil. And so as I put my feet on Canadian soil, I was so grateful to be back. Even though our country isn't perfect and our country has lots of issues, I was grateful to be back in my country because my wife is here, my kids are here, my friends, my church, my family is all here, and it felt good to put my feet back on Canadian soil. But I'm a fighter, like I said, and as soon as I landed on Canadian soil, I said this story has got to be told to as many people as possible. I got home, I was exhausted. The amount of time flying there and back was 66 hours. I was detained for 7 hours in the back, 1 hour by the military, the guy that looked like he was military, plus another 18-hour layover. It was well over 90 hours that this had gone on. And so when I got home, I put my thoughts together of everything that happened. And I will not stop. I will not stop, Pastor Archer, until this gets out to as many people as possible. Because if it's happening to me, it's happening to others. And we must stand for what we believe in. Because if we don't, this is coming to Canada. And this is what really concerns me. What I saw in India is coming to Canada. We're already taking stuff from India, the way we're prosecuting and persecuting Christians. I think they're just taking it from a playbook. There's nothing new under the sun. All these other countries that are persecuting Christians, it's coming to Canada. And I hope that people watching this will wake up to what's happening and that they will stand up, speak up, show up, because that's how we're going to change this nation of Canada.
Yeah, I want to before I ask you this question, I want to just let the viewers understand that there are a few things that the Canadian government can things that they can do uh, diplomatically. They can talk to the officials in India, ask them questions, make inquiries, and make sure that, hey, wait a second, if you're going to treat our citizens this way, maybe we will stop. We will not allow Indians to come to Canada. How about that? I mean, I'm telling you, if the Canadian government would take those steps, the problem would be fixed within seconds, within
Hmm.
minutes. I mean, in a heartbeat, the problem would be fixed if we had actual government officials that work for us. Of course, we know they don't work for Canadians, they work for globalists, they work for the Schwabs and the Soros and the Clintons and the Obamas of today. Um, but this problem could be fixed relatively in a very easy diplomatic way, and the government can put pressure on the Indian government saying, this is unacceptable. You are not allowed to treat our citizens. And if you will, well, there is going to be repercussion. So I want to ask you, after all this craziness, you're already a few days back in Canada. Did anyone contacted you? Any Canadian official? Anyone cares about your story from the government? Have you sent letters to some of your MPs letting them know what is happening? And if you didn't, I would encourage you to do it. Send to the members of parliament. And I'm sure there is a government office that would take complaints about, what happened to you. But so far, anything happened?
No, nothing has happened. I haven't gotten contact yet with my member of parliament, but I'm going to be speaking to him as well too, because this is a federal issue that they need to speak up for. But the government knows what happened to me. They got everything has been sent to them. They're aware of everything that happened to me as a Canadian citizen. But the reality is like you said, this could end overnight if they wanted it to, but they don't care. I'm a white Christian that was persecuted in another country. They don't care about us. They don't care about us in our own country, let alone in a foreign country. And so, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to continue to get it out to as many people as possible. I've sent in a complaint actually to the Indian government as well. As soon as I got home, I sent a complaint in about what had happened to me. They call it a grievance of the way that I was treated at the airport. So I sent all that in. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I'm going to send it to all levels of government, and people need to know what's happening to Christians abroad, because it's just going to happen even more. And that's what our government is for. They're supposed to protect the people, not hurt the people. But we know that's not the government that we have.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, if you're watching this, please, if you know any podcasters, if you know people that are doing shows on media, I mean, I don't have much hope in the propaganda media, of course, CBC, CNN, and Global and CTV. All those devils are liars, so they're aligned with the Indian government, and especially according to them, you're a white privileged man that receives everything for free, and that's what they're saying. But of course, the reality is that it's the other way around. So, if you know anyone that would be interested in a story like this, please, how can people contact you, Shawn, if they know people that would love to hear your story, or if they want to interview you themselves, how people can contact you and get that story out? I think you should be doing shows, and you should be doing interviews, because you're right, the only way we can fight the lie is with the truth, and that's what Satan hates the most: exposure. They hate accountability, they hate exposure, but that's how we fight. We don't fight with swords and guns and pistols, we fight with the truth. And the truth is the most powerful weapon. So, how can people contact you, Shawn? And, if they want you to share your story?
Yeah, I'm on all social media platforms under Shawn Hamm. They can send me a message that way. They can email us as well too. Our church is called The Remnant, so info@theremnant.ca, info@theremnant.ca. They can also send a message to Street Church Red Deer, Street Church Red Deer, info@streetchurchreddeer.ca as well. They can get a hold of me that way. My phone number is public. If they can call me on my phone, they can text me 403-357-7199. My phone number is public. I don't hide anything. I'm very transparent, and so I would love to share this story with people because I believe it'll change many people's lives.
Again, what is your phone? A little bit slower.
Oh, 403 357 7199.
Okay, I'm going to put some pictures from your deal. The problem that I run into, the audio cuts off. So don't say anything until I come back and bring you back in. I want to show the people some of your pictures that you posted. It. I've tried that at the beginning and it cut off the audio. I don't know why. I'll look into it after we're done. I don't want to disrupt everything. So we're not going to be saying anything for the next minute. And I'm going to show people some of those pictures and show you guys Sean's Facebook, so you can read the story in details and you can share the story. And please do share the story. That's what I'm going to do after this interview. I'll share the video and then I'm going to share Sean's Facebook page because people deserve to know. And again, I want to encourage you, the way we fight, the way we, the Muslims fight by blowing innocent children to pieces, Indians by chopping people to pieces. In Nigeria, those devils chop people and rape and do all kinds of evil things. We Christians don't do stuff like this. We fight with the truth. We bring light into the darkness. So that's how we're going to fight this injustice, this corruption
Amen.
that the Indian government, those officials representing Indian government, did to Pastor Sean. So, okay, here is the Facebook page. Bear with me, and then we'll come back to finish it, the interview. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, maybe the problem got fixed. So here is the page, and here is the write up that Sean did. Sean Hamm. That's how the Facebook page look like. Sean Hamm. If you see this page and Sean with the cross, that's his Facebook page. And when you scroll a little bit down, you will see the whole write up, the story of Christian persecution in India. Share it left and right. Let the people know. Bring light into this craziness. And here are the pictures. I'm sure they hate the exposure, but that's how
I
we
love
fight.
it.
That's how we fight. We let the people know what is happening. And again, it's the crazy story. The craziness in the story is that this man went to help their people that they are not helping. That's the most bizarre part of the story. They themselves are not taking care of their orphans. Foreigners are coming to take care of their children. And what do they get? A stick. Instead of medals, they get the stick. That's how you know the system works for Satan, because he comes to do what, Pastor Sean? He comes to,
Steal, kill, and destroy.
that's exactly what he's doing. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And again, another little minion of Satan.
He was the main guy there, Pastor Archer. That guy that you have on the screen right now, he was the main guy, the main decision maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there would be no story. I mean, it's a spiritual thing when they go extra mile to hurt Christians. Then it doesn't make any sense. It's a spiritual thing. And look at the craziness. Those people are still muzzled up like monkeys. It's just so crazy, so bizarre.
Well, they're scared of a virus. They're scared of a Christian. There's the documents. So I even posted the documents. I just took off the key numbers, like my passport number and things like that. I don't want that public, of course, but the documents, once you zoom in on them, for anybody that's watching, there's no reason given for them dismissing me out of the country.
Yeah, you are targeted simply because you're a Christian pastor. That's it. They don't want Christians to minister in their country. They don't want Christians to take care of their of their orphans, widows, and that's pretty much what the whole thing is all about.
Yeah, it's persecution. It's the light that's in us. It's not even me. It's the light that's in me. It's Jesus. They're so against Jesus, and just like in the days of the Bible when Jesus walked the face of the earth, even the religious scribe, they were all against him, right? So how do we expect? He said they hated me before they hate you. So why
Yes.
do we expect to live any different, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, all those documents are there for the world to see. So anybody that wants to go through that, you can get it on Facebook. You can blow it up. You can read it. It's as clear as day. It has their signatures on it. There's the white envelope that my passport and all that information was in that I wasn't allowed to touch until I got back to Vancouver. So everything is on my Facebook page there.
Wow. What a story. What an ordeal. But we keep plowing. We keep doing our best. So again, I encourage you to go to Shawn Hamm Facebook page. The documents are here. The pictures are here. The story in great details are here. And please spread the word.
Yes.
Spread the word around. Let the people know what happened. Why is this important for the people to know what's going on? Because today is Artur Pawlowski. Today is Sean Hom, but tomorrow it might be you or someone from your family. In other words, they came for us. Be sure of it, they will come for you as well. It's just a matter of not if, but when. That's history. That's why I love to teach history because history repeats itself. Again, nothing is new under the sun, and known to us are the devices of the enemy. He does the same thing over and over again because it works. It works. He's filled with hate, and he just you know does the same thing over and over again. He uses different ideologies, different names, different faces, but the evil remains the same. So is anything else you want to add to the story? You're back in Alberta, you're back in Canada, you're back with your wife, and I'm sure the church and your family is happy you're back. uh, what next? You're going to continue letting people know about what's happening, what happened to you, and what is? Do you have any awards for the people that are thinking of going to India, or for the people that are considering trying to get through?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one of the things that people have to realize is if God calls us to something, we do it and fear doesn't play into it, the equation. We cannot be fearful. I knew that there was things that I was going to get persecuted with in going to India, and I knew there was real chance I could get thrown in jail, real chance I might even been killed. But to serve Jesus is the most important thing for us as believers. We can't look at anything else. We can't live in fear. But we can't draw that line when we're in that situation. Do you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of Christians are struggling. They don't know where their line is. And if you make up your line once you're in a place where you're being persecuted, it's too late because you will fall for anything. You have to say, I will serve Jesus, I will follow Jesus, no matter what may come against me, no matter what persecution comes against me. I will serve the King of Kings and I will serve the Lord of Lords. And he's looking for the ultimate sacrifice from each one of us. And so maybe I'll just leave everybody with this. Somebody said to me recently, Suzanne, who goes to our church, she's gone to our church for a long time, and she said something that really resonated with me because I was questioning why this all happened and how it all happened and all that sort of thing. And she said to me, I think God is using it as an Abraham moment in your life. Just like Abraham walked up the mountain with Isaac and he thought he'd be sacrificing Isaac until the point even where he lifted up the sword to kill his own son that he had been believing for. God wanted to see if he would follow him no matter what happened to him. And I feel like that's what happened with me as well too. God was saying, Will he follow me? Will he trust me? Will he walk to where nobody else will walk or where other people are scared to go? And so I'm a results orientated person like you are, Pastor Archer, and I like to see results. I have goals that I want to get done. I wanted to preach the gospel to all these people out there, and I was excited about that. But what about if God was doing something so much bigger in this and something so much bigger in me, seeing if I would obey no matter what it cost me? And that's, I think, where the church of Western Canada and Western America is so weak, that we don't want to suffer. We don't want to be in persecution. We just want to live our soft, cushy lives. As long as it's not affecting me, I don't care. As long as my life is good, I can go golfing. I can go to hockey games. I can go to restaurants. I can go on vacations. Things are good. If it doesn't bother me, I don't care about it. And that's where we are at right now. And so I'm really concerned for people that are going through the motions, going to church, but they're literally just sitting through a service on a weekly basis and they're not changing. And when we meet the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, Jesus changes everything. As soon as we give our lives completely to him, nothing belongs to us anymore. My money isn't mine. My family doesn't belong to me. My time doesn't belong to me. The church that I pastor doesn't belong to me. It all belongs to him. And my job is to be a good steward of that and serve him with all my heart. So my encouragement for those watching is that they would serve Jesus with all their heart and not be afraid of what might come to them if they walk in obedience to him.
Man, well, the saddest part of this story is, of course, what happened to you is sad, but in the end of the day, who is going to suffer the most is their children, their own children. They did this to their own people. They removed someone that wanted to bless their children with tangible things, and in the end, those children are the ones that are paying the price. And I just want you to know that everything we do on this side of eternity echoes in eternity. Everything we do on this side affects everything else, and our decisions matter. We are called to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. We are called to be his mouthpiece, and we are called to do good deeds. And in the end of the day, to me, the saddest part of the story is that the Indian children are now suffering because of the adults making those horrible decisions that maybe will not are not affecting them personally, but is affecting their people. And I think that's the ultimate evil that those people are committing, and they will be one day they will face the judge of judges, the king of kings, the lord of lords, and they will give an account for this evil that they have committed. Because when you do evil, there is a chain reaction to that evil. When you do good, there is a chain reaction to that good. But when you do evil, you're not the only one that will be suffering. There are others that are suffering as well. And that's the story. That's the, in my opinion, that's the saddest part of the story. So again, share this video, contact Shawn, put him on your podcast, interview him. People deserve to know what is happening. And thank you, Shawn, for being part of this podcast. Lions do not bow. You definitely did not bow. And bless you for it. And I'll see you soon. God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you very much.